The NBA Finals start tomorrow, and as much as I would love for it to be a great series, and I'm not saying it can't be one, it's really looking like the Thunder have the upper hand in almost every single category heading into this series. When you look at the strengths and weaknesses for both of these teams, one thing is apparent that OKC doesn't have many weaknesses as a team, and they almost have way too many strengths that I could even put on this graphic for you guys. To start off with the record for both of these teams, they're both 12-4 heading into these NBA Finals, which is incredibly impressive, especially when you think about who they have faced so far. And obviously, I don't think Indiana's had the toughest schedule to this point, but they're in the NBA Finals for a reason. This is a pretty good team. And the Thunder, really the only series that they broke a sweat in was that Denver Nuggets series that went to 7 games. And I think that is the series that will eventually make them champions. To start off with these strengths, for the OKC Thunder, fast break points. They score 17.8 fast break points per game, which means, man, they are out and running in transition. After a steal, they're out and running. This team might be the best team that I've ever seen in terms of creating points off turnovers and pushing the pace and doing it effectively almost every single time they have an opportunity. The next strength for them is their paint scoring. They score in the paint really well, whether it's a zone, whether it's man, and most of that is led by Shea, but they also have some great downhill drivers like Jalen Williams, who's a smart driver, gets downhill with great speed, uses his strength to finish through contact and finish through minimal contact at times as well. So 50.6 point paint points per game is very impressive for OKC. Again, this one kind of bleeds into the fast break points per game, but their active hands, 20.8 deflections per game is ridiculous for a team. They are by far and away the best team in the playoffs and in the league in terms of their deflections per game, and that also turns into 10.8 steals per game, where they are also the best team. Like I said, the way this team gets their hand on the ball, it might be the best that we've ever seen as a collective team. I mean, they just have so many defenders that are in gaps. A great pass against this team is, still a great pass, but they're going to make it look like a bad pass. They're going to pick off plays where you think, oh, that's a good find, but it's not a good find. Case and Wallace steps in, Caruso, Dort, Shea, Chet, Ihart, J-Dub, like these guys are everywhere defensively. They also have the best player in this series in SGA, and I'm comfortable saying that he is a top 3 player and has a chance to be crowned, quote-unquote, the best player in the league after this series. If he can have an average series and win the championship, there's no doubt in my mind that he is in that conversation. The next biggest strength is really what I've been talking about for their strengths this whole video, is their all-time defense. They have a 104.7 defensive rating. This team is insane defensively. One of the best defenses we've ever seen, especially in the modern era. I can't think of a team that was this good defensively. And when I think back the past few finals, but man, this team's defense is insane. They are everywhere at once. They are on a string. Like Anthony Edwards says, they're kind of like puppets. Like they're being controlled by one big, I don't even know, puppeteer, and they just all move on a string. They are just perfect in their defensive execution and effort. And their depth from 1 to 11, they've got great guys off the bench. Caruso, Case and Wallace, Isaiah Joe, Jalen Williams. Like, this team's deep. Aaron Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, even AJ Mitchell can give you something. This team has so many strengths and very few weaknesses. But to get onto their few weaknesses, their three-point shooting hasn't been so good through these playoffs so far, and yet they've been blowing out teams. 33.6% from deep is not great, especially for a team this good. But that's really not their A game, and they can really catch fire from outside, but that's not their A game. Their A game is getting steals, creating turnovers, and pushing the pace, using their defense to their advantage. Another one is fouling. I don't know if I necessarily call this a weakness, because it kind of comes from their aggressive defensive play style, but 21.4 fouls per game. It's not great. You're going to send your opponents to the line, but it's not the worst thing in the world. They don't shoot good from the free throw line either. So a lot of missed opportunities from the free throw line can come back to hurt you in closer games, which they haven't really been in a ton of in this playoff run, and honestly the whole season altogether. And then their second chance points per game, which I think will actually go up against this team and actually be a strength of theirs because of how big that front court is with Chet and iHeart. Hasn't been so good in these playoffs so far at 13.8 second chance points per game. Now to get on the X factor for this OKC team, and that being Chet Holmgren. And the reason why I chose Chet to be the X factor for this series for the Thunder is he's their third option. And the things that he's going to have to do in order to help this team win. Now, he could not do these things. They probably still have a pretty good chance at winning. It's just how good this OKC team is. And I understand I've been talking fairly highly of this team. But, man, this team is phenomenal. He's going to need to knock down his open threes at higher than his 33.3% clip that he's had during these playoffs. If he can get near 40, it's going to be pretty hard to stop this team. When they have Chet hitting threes, he's going to have to provide his usual help on drives, which he has done a phenomenal job of in these playoffs. And his 2 blocks per game have proved that thus far. And you can just see he kind of deters people away from the rim. The second best rim protector in the league, and he will be for years to come. And then use his size to his advantage. Now, he's not a big guy in terms of his stature, but he's about 7'1". You're going to have to crash that offensive glass and grab strong rebounds when you finish defensive plays. And that's something I think Chet can do. And if he does these 3 things, there's a very, very big chance that OKC just kind of sleepwalks through this series. Now for the strengths and weaknesses for this Indiana Pacers team. They are 12-4 as well in these playoffs and really haven't struggled with any team. And I'm not, a hater, and I wouldn't say they've played weak competition, but the matchups that they've had have certainly been in their advantage. I don't think they've played the toughest teams throughout the playoffs thus far, but there is a reason why this team does have a chance in this series, and their strengths are a reason why. Their corner three-point shooting is out of this world at 47.5% from the corner. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous to shoot that well from the corner. That's just because they swing the ball very well and they create a ton of open looks for each other. The next strength kind of bleeds into one of OKC's strengths is they don't allow many fast break points per game. Only 9.3 fast break points per game allowed. It's a big contrast from what OKC usually gets so far in these series, but we'll see if they're going to be able to contain that. I don't know if they really will. They certainly have a lot of depth that would be able to keep up in terms of the stamina and stuff like that. But the personnel might not be the greatest in that compartment or department. Their three-point shooting overall at 40.1% for a team is it's stupid. It's stupid. I think they have 2 top 10 three-point shooters in terms of playoff percentage in NBA history. Andrew Nembhard, I think, shooting like 48.5%, which is top 10, it's just stupid. But, I mean, this team has rise to the occasion. And another reason why they shoot so well is, like I said, because of their corner three-point shooting too, is their team passing 28.1 assists per game. It's not just Halliburton making great plays, making the smart plays. This team plays smart. Like, everybody plays smart. The whole team just passes the ball extremely well. They find each other open. They're always constantly moving, and that's how you create a lot of assists. And again, that smart basketball. Their assist-to-turnover ratio, 2.21 assists per turnover. That's really good, especially for a whole team to do that. Now, Hallie obviously carries that stat a lot because I think he's at 5-2, which is just stupid. But this team, smart basketball team. And then the last strength that they have is their relentless pace, 98.4 pace. This team pushes the ball, and no pun intended, but they're the Pacers for a reason. This team is just exhausting to play against. That's why I think OKC is going to have to dig deep into their depth, which they can do. But man, the Pacers push the pace very, very well. Now to get onto their weaknesses. Their paint protection isn't really good at all. Outside of Miles Turner, and even Miles Turner's not I wouldn't say he's a great paint protector. He does get a lot of blocks, so he's a good shot blocker, but I wouldn't say he's a great rim protector. 48.1 points per game allowed in the paint. That feeds into OKC. They already average 50 points per game in the paint, and they just played in a series where there was Rudy Gobert at the rim. And then the other series, they played against Zach Edey and Jaren Jackson Jr. Like OKC, it doesn't really matter who's been in front of them thus far. They are getting to the paint and scoring at will. Second chance points is a weakness for the Pacers at will, only 16 per game. So that's why, you need to secure the rebounds. You don't want this team to get better in terms of their second chance points per game. They're allowing, I don't know if I did that right. I think that one means allowed, but I could be wrong. So just ignore that. But allowing free throws. This team does foul a lot, and when they do foul, they're sending people to the free throw line. And OKC is not a high free throw shooting team, but they do have Shea, who drives over and over again and gets fouled a lot. So that might be something that is in favor of OKC when Shea gets to the line 8 to 10 times a game. And they haven't faced really any strong or even average perimeter defenders yet. Like first round against Milwaukee, you're facing Gary Trent Jr., Damian Lillard for 1.5 game, like Taurean Prince. Like, that is easy blow-bys. When they play Cleveland, Mitchell's not a great defender. Garland is certainly not a good defender. Max Strus is an okay defender. Like, the perimeter defense they played so far in this series has been weak. The best defender they've played was probably OG in terms of his perimeter defense, but he was just guarding Pascal, who was in the post the whole time. And Brunson, they were going at him relentlessly. McCall has really just fallen off as a defensive player. He's not very good in terms of his perimeter defense. At least he wasn't in this series. So, you're going to be facing the best perimeter defensive team that we've seen in years, decades maybe. It's going to be a big contrast from what they've faced so far. And their first option, Tyrese Halliburton, he's been very inconsistent. You'll see next slide that he needs to have a big series, or else this team is in trouble of getting swept, because Hallie, there's a reason why I think Siakam won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP over him. Hallie had 2 or 3 really good games, but outside of that, when he has a bad game, it's pretty bad. It's about 8 points, maybe 7 assists, and he's not very aggressive, and he's not locked in defensively, so he can't play like that if this team wants to win some games in this series. And then the X factor, another Gonzaga player, Andrew Nembhard, needs to help out Hallie offensively. He's averaged 12.9 points per game. He's had some really high marks in this postseason, but he needs to be above 15 if this team wants a shot at winning this series, maybe even towards 20. Whoever he guards in this series, it might be Shea, it might be J-Dub. Whoever it is, he needs to do a good job. He needs to hold them to under their averages. He's not going to stop either one of them, but he can do a pretty good job on them, and that's exactly what he needs to do. And then again, be another help to Hallie as a playmaker, not only a scorer, but as a playmaker. He's averaged 5.1 assists per game, and at times he's had some pretty big assist numbers, 8 to 10 assists. And when he has that, that helps this team a lot. So yeah, that's the star matchup, or not the star matchup, the matchups for both these teams, strength, weaknesses, X factor. And now let's get on to that star matchup for both of these squads. Star matchup, it's going to obviously be the MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus Tyrese Halliburton, who is the talk of the playoffs right now. Let's start with Shai. His playoff averages so far, 29.8 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 6.9 assists, 47.1% from the field, a not good 30% from 3, and 85.7% from the free throw line. Shai has been amazing in these playoffs. His averages have been down because he did start off slow in some of these series. But in these big games, he has been able to pick it up and just almost cement himself as the best player in the league. He has been phenomenal in these playoffs, and you're starting to see why he was crowned the MVP. And against Indiana, in the 2 games they played this season, he tore them apart. 39 points per game, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 55% from the field, 64% from deep, and 91% from the free throw line. I'm going to be honest, whoever's guarding him in this series, whether it's Nesmith or Nembhard, I think he's just going to absolutely torch them. Like, he could legitimately average what he's averaged against them in the regular season. Not 64% from 3 necessarily, maybe like 40. But the way he picked them apart in the regular season, it's pretty apparent that he's going to get his. Brunson tore this team apart. Mitchell tore this team apart. Giannis tore this team apart. Like, Shea is probably going to do the same thing. So that's where the surrounding pieces come into play. And then, enough of talking about Shea, let's talk about Tyrese Halliburton. His playoff average is 18.8 points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, 9.8 assists, 46% from the field, 33% from deep, and 80% from the line. Listen, the way he's been talked about in these playoffs, and I'm not trying to be a hater or nothing, but Hallie, it seems like he's averaging 25 and 12 the way that people have talked about him, and he's shooting 50, 40, 90, when really he hasn't played as well as he did in the regular season in terms of his averages. He's been a little bit better defensively, so I'll give him a lot of credit for that. He's been locked in at times defensively, but he's been wildly inconsistent, and Halliburton is obviously a huge reason as why this team is in the playoffs, but the role players and surrounding pieces have been the biggest, in my opinion. That's why this team has made it this far. And against OKC, in the first or the only 2 games they had in the regular season, it was not good at all. 11 points per game, 3 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 44% from the field, 36% from deep. Made his 2 free throws. If he's going to play anything like that, his series is over. I forgot which TikTok I seen, but I believe Lou Dort matched up against Tyrese Halliburton like 150 times or 120 times, and Hallie only took 10 shots, and he wasn't assisting the ball very well. That's going to be a nightmare for Tyrese Halliburton to go against. Lou Dort is one of the best, if not the best, screen navigators in the league, and that is really how Tyrese Halliburton thrives, as opposed to also getting switches on big men who are slow-footed. If Hallie's not going to be able to use those screens efficiently and effectively, Lou Dort's going to win that matchup, which is crazy to say. So if Tyrese Halliburton is going to struggle or even play the way he has played in the playoffs so far, I don't think this team has a chance. He needs to average those numbers that I talked about. What people talk like he is averaging. He needs to average 25 and 12 on 50, 40, 90. Like, that's really the only way this Pacers team can win the series. Could they get a game or two? Yes, just based off their hot shooting. And things happen in the playoffs, especially in the finals. But Hallie needs to play at a superstar level, and he hasn't played like that yet in these playoffs. So we'll see what he's made of. But yeah, that is the video. That is the finals breakdown. I'm excited to watch this. It says Eastern Conference round 1v5, 4v5. Ignore that. This is the finals. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. And let me know who you have winning this series, how many games, what's your prediction, what do you think is going to happen. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.